You've heard of Bonnie and Clyde? My guest was Bonnie and Clyde put together. After a lifetime as a career criminal, she experienced God and pursued him with an even greater passion than she had for crime. She captured God's heart and received unique keys to the supernatural.
Is there a supernatural dimension? A world beyond the one we know? Is there life after death? Do angels exist? Can our dreams contain messages from heaven? Can we tap into ancient secrets of the supernatural? Are healing miracles real? Sid Roth has spent over 35 years researching the strange world of the supernatural. Join Sid for this edition of It's Supernatural.
Hello, Sid Roth here. Welcome to my world, where it's naturally supernatural. My guest, Katie Souza, was a career criminal. It's hard to believe, Katie, you were in movies and television and modeling and got in with the fast crowd, got into drugs. But what I don't picture is these high-speed chases with guns. Yeah. I mean, that's Bonnie and Clyde stuff.
Definitely.
How does a nice girl like you get into this?
You know, I'd grown up around guns my whole life. I had been a tomboy, so when I got into drugs, and it totally turned my already volatile personality into somewhat of a terrorist personality. So it was natural for me to go that direction, to start doing collections on other drug dealers and to start forcing people to pay drug debts at gunpoint.
Just out of curiosity, you're forcing people to pay their drug debts. Aren't you concerned that they might have a gun and they're crazy from drugs anyway, and your life is going to be over?
You know, right at the moment, I never actually thought about that. I just went in head first to do it. But it did actually grow some very dangerous entanglements later on, because as I would collect on bigger clients, like biker clubs, they would start actually putting contracts out of my life and try to take my life many, many times. And
then maybe, I don't know, did you get greedy or what was it? You started your own meth lab.
Well, I got tired of buying and selling drugs. That's a real hassle. And so I said, well, you know, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to be the top dog. I'm going to start manufacturing my own speed so that I can do good dope and I can sell dope and be treated somewhat like a rock star, because if you're a meth cook, that's what you get. That's the kind of treatment that you get.
So did reality really set in 1999 when they finally got you? They finally were going to send you away for, what, 11 and a half years?
12 and a half, yeah. They did. They caught me. They apprehended me. Federal marshals did. And my first year in lockdown, I spent in and out of the hole because I was fighting everybody, and I ended up actually attacking an officer. And so I was completely out of control, like I was on the streets. And then one day God walked into that cell and he arrested me himself.
Well, wait a second. Wait a minute. God walked into that cell. What really happened between you and me?
Okay, so I had found out that my co-defendant was going to testify against me. And that I was looking to up to 20 years in prison.
Ouch.
Right. So we go out.
That would sober you, I would think.
Yeah. And it made me really mad at the time, as I wasn't walking with God yet. And so I went out to the yard, and me, her, and her girlfriend actually threw down, had a fight over it. So we got taken to lockdown. And while I'm in lockdown, this was like my umpteenth time in the hole. I'm in a cell that's covered with urine and feces and vomit, and it's freezing cold. And I just, all of a sudden it hit me, wow, I am tired. I have been doing this for 10 years on the streets. Now I'm doing it in here, and now I'm looking at all this time in prison, and I just felt like I was at the end of my rope. And at that point, I had a diabetic seizure. And when I woke up, I was done. I was completely done. And I said, you know what? I just give up. I surrender. And that was what God was waiting for, Sid.
And then you had these Bible studies, and you started, what did you call it, a God pod in prison?
Yeah. Well, in my unit, we got so involved in God. We started doing the Bible studies and worship and praying for people and baptizing people in the shower.
But you started hearing God's voice, and God said to you, you would get an early release. How specific was he?
Well, I was meditating on God one night, and he came and he said, you know what, I'm going to do a jailbreak. I'm going to get you out. And then he even gave me the exact date he was going to do it. So I run out to the whole facility the next day, and I tell everybody what God told me. And at the end of the day, I got 1,200 women, they're laughing at me. And
I can imagine.
Right. And then my counselor gets wind of it. She's like, oh, so you think you're leaving on that certain date? And I'm like, I don't think so. I know so. God told me. She picks up the phone, Sid, looks me in the eye, picks up the phone, and calls the guards to come and escort me to the facility psychiatrist. Then I get to the facility psychiatrist, and she's told that I'm hearing the voice of God, so she wants to put me in suicide watch. But 6 months later, I won a case that I had in federal court, and the exact date the Lord gave me came to pass.
What impact did it have on the prisoners that knew that you were so crazy they sent you to the psychiatrist because you knew the exact date and told everyone you were going to get out so early?
It was a massive impact on everybody, and it was great because even the unbelievers were like, wow, now we have something to believe in. Now we can see that God is real. And even my counselor, I can remember her calling me, paging me after she found out what happened. She paged me into her office and she said, my fish are dying. Would you please pray for my fish?
Your faith must have been skyrocketed.
Absolutely, it was.
But you know what's so amazing to me is as fanatic, and that's the word. I mean, fanatic is a good term for football. Why not for God? As fanatic as you were for crime, you're that fanatic for the Lord.
Yes.
And why is he showing you principles that are keys, if you will, that speed prayers up supernaturally? Why you?
Well, I mean, because we're doing a prison ministry now. We have an international prison ministry, and those people need everything God has. They need healing. They need deliverance. They need acceleration. They need to be discipled quickly. Everything needs to move on a faster level because God's kingdom is coming in such an accelerated manner. We got to keep up.
She goes and she speaks in prisons now, and everything happens almost instantly. It's a whole acceleration, but it's a tool that Katie has been downloaded that will speed up your prayers in an amazing fashion, give you supernatural information in an amazing fashion. Don't go away.